Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry, ready to take you on an enlightening journey filled with valuable insights. Today we recognize United Nations Zero Discrimination Day, a reminder to embrace diversity, promote inclusion, and ensure equal opportunities for all. Stay with us for an informative and engaging show ahead.
Your safety and security continue to be our priority. We are seeing a downward trend in major crimes, and we are investing $650 million in technology improvement for our police force to provide greater coverage across Jamaica by 2028.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Thanks for staying with us. Theodore, that's my name, not the bearded man or the man in a gray suit. So what's in a name? For many individuals in the disabled community, it's more than just a label. It's a statement of identity and respect. In this feature, we highlight stakeholders working to break stigmas and promote inclusivity for persons with disabilities.
Call me Nefishiba.
Call the person by their names if you know their names, and if you don't know their names, ask. I recall when I was growing up, disability was not a word. Most persons who had varying impairments, people used to call them, even today, I'll use this one. They call persons with one hand or one foot one-y. And they call persons who are deaf the D word, which I will not say. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the Disabilities Act push forward that you put the person first. So I know sometimes we love to say the disabled man. He is a man first and foremost. And so I know too that some members of the disability community, they don't mind. But if we want to be politically correct, just remember it's a person first.
I know many of our children and youths and even adults, they face labeling in their communities. And one of the derogatory terms that people would use to describe them is that you're retard or you're retarded. And those are terms that, you know, emotionally, they hurt persons with intellectual disability because you are seeing the person with a condition and not the person.
I am Hannah Kay.
They are also referred to as handicapped.
Don't call me that.
Don't call me that.
But we all know that what we refer to as a handicap is a barrier that you place. It can be a physical barrier, it can be an attitudinal barrier that you place on the person, you know, but the person is not a handicap. Anybody with a disability is a person first. And so you address the person. Do you, the tall person? No. You would call the person by him or her, by his or her name. So address the persons by their names.
You might say that, but the person is deaf, I can't sign. Ask them, maybe they can write, or maybe they can lip it, you know, and you figure it out together. Or if someone is in the space, they can maybe tell you, but ask. It's always nice to ask. And people who are blind are not necessarily deaf. So we do not need to shout and, you know, scream if it's a person who is blind. They can hear and they can speak.
It's a challenge, but for most persons will find the term visually impaired acceptable. People have many ways of referring to persons who are blind, which, you know, we in the blind community will find quite derogatory, right? There are terms that people use, you know, sometimes, you know, the tease of the other children, for example, you know, referring to them as bat or blind bat, or blinky, or cast eye, or, you know, those terms obviously are not acceptable terms and are not terms of endearment at all.
I recently went to a function and the question was asked in the room, what do you think, what are the words that come to mind when you hear the word deaf? And everybody, in the audience sought to say, no hearing, discriminated against, and all those kinds of words. And the deaf person said, what about champion? What about an achiever? What about a motivator? What about those positive words that we refer to others in society as? People with disabilities are those too. And so if we begin there, no, you do not have to pay money to change an attitude. An attitude is a decision. And so if Jamaicans, out of understanding that people with disabilities are people and they have capabilities, abilities like everybody else, then I think that will be a humongous achievement, because it will then have a ripple effect on everything else that happens in society.
We are just like you. We have the same needs, we do the same things. We work, we have families, we cook, we wash, we clean, we do all the same things. We are not different. It means that when you're thinking of persons who are blind or visually impaired, think of us as, your brother, your sister. The same things that you need, the same things that you want. Respect, the need for autonomy. Those are the same things that we want.
I know a lot of persons might say, but that is what they are. And I would say, no, that is not what they are. The disability might be part of their person, but they are not their disability. The disability is a condition. And so all the other derogatory words that are utilized, if we put ourselves in the position, recognizing that disability is no respecter of persons, whether class or socioeconomic status, color, disability has no bias. And so in these days when we have those beautiful roads and we drive on them at high speeds and we can end up in accidents, a disability is a second away.
All children deserve positive parenting. Why not pamper us? Be patient with us. Make time to teach us and, of course, play with us. Celebrate milestones with us and don't forget to be our #1 supporter. Do all these things and practice positive parenting today.
Today, we can report 2 consecutive years of reduction in major crimes and murders, with a significant reduction of almost 20% in murders for 2024.
Between January 2022 and January 2025, we have reduced murders by 51%, and January 2025 had the lowest monthly murder count since September 2014.
Our efforts have also resulted in the reduction of active gangs by 50%. We continue to increase firearm seizures, and in more communities, we are experiencing less violence. We will realize our vision of Jamaica as the place of choice to live, work, do business, raise families, and retire in peace and prosperity.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
For children living with spasticity, everyday movements can be a challenge. But with the right treatments and support, they can achieve a better quality of life. Let's explore the various medical interventions available with expert guidance, of course.
A mother or father's wish for his or her child: that he or she is happy, healthy, able, and will achieve his or her full potential. Even in the face of disabilities, these aspirations are affirmed with extra care and the outpouring of love in support of children with special needs. And the children themselves, some not able to freely move due to a condition known as spasticity, have strong faith in their abilities. Spasticity, or muscle toning, is a type of muscle stiffness seen in children with neurological conditions such as cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy is a name that describes a group of conditions where there's injury to the brain, the developing brain, that occurs during pregnancy, in utero, at the time of delivery, or up until 3 years old. And it affects a part of the brain that controls movement, the motor section.
With the varying degrees of cerebral palsy, some children may have issues with comprehension or understanding. Others have seizures and problems talking, swallowing, hearing, or seeing. Despite the struggles, the possibilities are bright for children living in Jamaica with this and other conditions that affect the ability to walk. Medical interventions are now allowing some disabled children to walk for the first time and for others to walk better, ultimately having an improved quality of life.
I think what we have brought is a comprehensive approach to addressing the problem, where all the medical professionals, including nurses, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, the surgeons, the rehabilitation and specialists and physiatrists, and the neurosurgeons and neurologists have come together, working with the hospital, working with the pharmacists to try and solve the problems of each child individually. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So for example, in my specialties, some of them may need a surgical procedure on the lower back, which we call a dorsal rhizotomy, where we will resect some of the nerve or divide some of the nerves to allow them to move the legs more freely.
Other options for treatment include injecting the muscles or around the nerves with medication that decrease muscle tone or muscle stiffness. These medications include phenol or botulinum toxin type A, Botox. Specialist teams at the Bustamante Hospital for Children and the University Hospital of the West Indies, along with partners from overseas, have been pioneering treatments for these children.
The children are assessed. They're assessed by the physiatrists, they're assessed by the physiotherapists, and a diagnosis is made, and then a particular treatment is prescribed that's tailor-made for that child's disability.
Assistive aids such as braces, walkers, and other orthotic devices provide important support to children dealing with spasticity and the pain or discomfort it causes.
It's important for children with movement problems to be positioned properly. Without good positioning, the stiffness can pull the joints out of alignment. And so when they're very early, we put them in what we call braces or orthotics. And these orthotics will maintain a proper alignment of the joint, preventing the ankles from being deformed, preventing the fingers from being deformed.
The braces help with standing, balance, and overall mobility.
If you start from toe upwards, you have what we call ankle-foot orthosis. AFO is the quick acronym. You have orthosis or braces that includes the knee, ankle-foot orthosis that allows for stability. You have some that we use at the hip to keep the hip apart. We use some at the elbows as well, or the wrists, the wrist orthosis. Some patients may require spine orthosis. Those are not usually used in the neuromuscular children, meaning the children with cerebral palsy and weakness. And if they are able to stand and balance, they get walkers to ambulate or wheelchairs so the parents and caregivers can carry them around comfortably.
There are several risk factors for cerebral palsy.
The risk factors include poor antenatal care. It also includes children that are born very young, premature delivery, less than 28 weeks, because the brain is very delicate, and any changes in oxygenation can affect the brain. Low birth weight as well, when children are born very low. Different types of infections can cause it.
And even after delivery, there's the risk from head injury and infections such as meningitis and jaundice, among other things. Doctors say the risk of developing cerebral palsy can be minimized.
Parents need to know that you must have proper antenatal care. proper enough to take the pregnancy to full term, to 40 weeks, so the child's brain and body and blood vessels can develop properly. In addition to that, good health care condition for the mother, and delivery, safe delivery is always important, and postnatally, meaning after they're delivered, is to ensure that the children are healthy, they get their vaccinations, they're not exposed to any infection, there's no trauma to the brain, environment is safe, so you don't have exposure to chemicals that can also cause it, or to accidents or near drowning and stuff like that.
Children's exposure to toxic chemicals such as paints with lead in them, herbicides, pesticides, or household chemicals with pungent odors, either ingested or inhaled, can cause brain damage and must be avoided. Our best option for good health is always prevention, but that aside, effective curative measures offer hope and great joy.
We do have children walking who weren't able to walk before. We do have children sitting who couldn't sit before. I had a patient once where the legs were crossed, scissored we call it, where the legs were scissored at the hips, and the mother wasn't able to clean her properly or carry her. So when she used to carry her in the front. So we injected between the legs, and she came out, she was very happy. I'm like, why are you so happy? She's like, me can lap her now. I said, what do you mean by that? Because we injected between the legs, she could open the legs, so she could now carry her on the side, one foot in the front, one in the back, and a bag.
We hear of another story from Aunt Avia, who cares for her nephew Emilio.
His name is Emilio Morass. He's 12 years old. At one point, his foot was like turning like this. So now they cast it at the Bustamante. They said come back around straight. So now he's wearing a braces. At one point he used to creep, but now he doesn't creep. At one point his knee was very tight, but now it's not so tight. Things kind of better now, being that him get the injection. He used to get fizzy. They want him to stand up in the brace.
Kenil Baker is 13 years old. He was born with cerebral palsy, low motor skills. Basically, he cannot walk without assistance.
We have been coming to this clinic for some time now, where he has gotten injections and has done a surgery, which has helped him tremendously. He could not lay on his stomach. After the surgery, he was able to lay on his stomach and turn over, roll over. He's able to stretch out his hands and legs. And for bathing him, it has been made much easier for caring for him. He could not feed himself. He's trying to feed himself now. Well, you can leave him with food and he will feed himself. He's a very happy child. And we have good support from family and friends. And thank God we do. He's our joy. He's our joy.
In a fast-paced world, it's easy to act on autopilot. But what if we took a moment to be intentional about our choices, to recognize that every action counts? Small intentional actions can create a ripple effect. A simple smile, a helping hand, or a kind word can change someone's day and inspire them to pay it forward. Being intentional starts with mindfulness. Practice gratitude. Choose kindness in your interaction.
Every choice we make has the power to inspire, uplift, and create a better world. Take a moment each day to be intentional.
Did you know that one of Jamaica's most breathtaking ecosystems is also a crucial part of the island's food chain and tourism industry? Let's take a look at the history and significance of the Black River morass.
The Black River morass is actually the largest wetland area in Jamaica. The upper morass was used for planting rice some years ago. That has ceased, and as a result, we have lost that area. But the lower morass is still here, and it provides not just a safari boat tour, but shrimping, fishing, and there's a lot of bird life still in the lower morass. It has been declared a wetland of international importance, a Ramsar site.
The Black River morass is home to hundreds of crocodiles, vegetation, and other aquatic animals. Through guided tours offered along the river, you can glide upstream to learn more about the wetlands and all its inhabitants.
Welcome on board the Safari Diva, and welcome to the Black River Safari. My name is Roger, and I'll be your captain and also your tour guide. Our trip will take us approximately 4 kilometers upstream, during which I'll show you some birds, wetland vegetation, and some of our very friendly crocodiles. Presently, we're on the Black River, and this is Jamaica's longest navigable river. It is 44 miles long, about 70 kilometers. Well, surrounding us, we have over 21,000 acres of swamp, and this is the largest wetlands in the Caribbean. It is also home for over 65 different species of birds. 17 years ago, it was estimated there was a little bit over 100 crocodiles living within the area. And since then, their number have increased as they are on the endangered species list. They were once hunted for their skin to make a nice shoes or a good handbag. They are protected. No hunting of crocodiles in Jamaica. Well, they are part of our heritage. They're on our coat of arms with the crocodiles at the top, Indians at the side.
Unlike what we may believe in Jamaica, our crocodile here, Crocodilus acutus, is one of the most docile of the crocodilian species. The thing about it is that they help to cull the fish population, the animals, the fish that are diseased or the fish that are dead, they will eat them and so on. So that it's well worth having those crocodiles here within our wetland areas.
These birds you are looking at, they are called egret, commonly known as galling. The reason for the birds to nest in this location, behind us, this is our local fish market. So once those small boat comes from sea, they'll have some food to get. In the river, we can catch big fish like tarpon. Those can get up to 200 pounds. And snook, which is a very good eating fish, can get up to 50 pounds. And the African perch, mullet, snapper, several different types. It's very good for fishing. So by the shallow edge of the river, it is also the main habitat for our freshwater shrimp. This little device I have here, this is called a shrimp trap. It is made from the bamboo plant. We'll use for bait roasted coconut, oranges, or even a piece of chicken. Now once the shrimp goes in, it's difficult for them to go out. The conical shape helps to keep them in. So we'll just hold it and twist it. It opens up so we can shake them out. It's actually very simple, but it is effective. The design came from West Africa over 200 years ago, and it is still used today. The vegetation or trees, they are called mangrove, which we have two types of mangrove tree, white and red. White mangrove, small leaves, and they are brighter in color. Red mangrove have much bigger leaves and also have those aerial root that goes into the water. It takes up all the minerals and nutrients for the tree. This section of the river we're entering, we call here Mangrove Avenue, as it forms a canopy similar to our Bamboo Avenue. These are all red mangrove trees, the ones that have the roots going into the water. In the early 1900s, the bark or skin of red mangrove was used for making a type of dye which we call tannin.
Did you know that the water in the Black River is actually clear? The river got its name due to the dark shade created by the presence of peat soil on the riverbed.
Peat soil, which is at the bed of the river, that is giving off the dark reflection. It also has its advantage and its disadvantage. The advantage, whenever time we have heavy rainfall or during hurricane, the soil, it acts as a sponge which absorbs the excess water. So we have no flooding activity within the area. However, when the water level gets too low, the peat soil, it gives off the methane gas, and with the help of sunlight it will ignite.
There are many different types of wetlands. In Jamaica, the most common wetlands are coastal mangroves, morasses, lakes, and ponds. For more information on the Black River Morass and all the other wetland areas in Jamaica, visit the National Environment and Planning Agency's website at www.nepa.gov.jm.
As we wrap up today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we hope you found these features informative and engaging. Let's stay connected through our website, jis.gov.jm, and on social media. On behalf of the production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Have a great weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.